Welcome to Week 6, Part 3, Functions, Domain, and Range. For each graph, determine the domain and range. Then tell whether the graph represents a function. So to review on this one, we're talking about the domain. The domain it represents x and range is represent y. What interval x belong to and what interval y belong to. To check the functions, if it's a functions, if we use the vertical line test. And what is the result? If the graph is look like that, and on every single vertical line we create, it only cross the graph at one point. So if that happens, we say yes. Okay, so if the graph look like this, right? So when you cross it, it will, when you make a line, vertical line, it will cross the graph at 2 points, right? So if that happens, we say no. It's not the functions. So only one vertical line only cross the graph one time. Okay, so for the domain and the range, it look like that. We will say the most left point. So left, comma, right is for x, right? That is the domain. For y, it will be down, comma, up. So what does that mean? So I say for the left, so we look at the graph, right? So the most left endpoint will be right here. That value -6, right? And then we see that every single point right here, you will have a value of x until you touch that part. That's the maximum for x. So that is 6. And then at that point, you see that like the solid line or drawing. So it means it include that part. When it include, we use the bracket. So we say -6, comma, that's the most left, and then 6 for the most right. For the y, we go down and up. So the most down here is -6, and most up here, that is 6. So the range will be include the -6, comma, include the 6. From -6 to 6. And is that the functions? So we use the line, we cross. Okay, so here we cross 1, 2. Here we cross 1, 2, and 3. Here 1, 2. Right, so it have to be no, it's not a function because it failed the vertical line test. Every vertical line you draw down is only cross the graph one time. Only one. If it's more than one, like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, so that graph does not represent a function. Okay, so let's do another. So for this one, whenever we see the touching the edge of the raft, the window like that, it means it's continue forever. So it will run forever that way. And for this one, it run down forever that way. When you see that is the empty dot like that, it means it's not include. The point not included. If it solid dot like that, if fill, that will be included. And when it included, we use bracket. When not included, we use parenthesis. Also, the negative infinity and positive infinity always we use the parenthesis. Always the parenthesis. Alright, so now for the domain is x, right? And then the most left, you see that functions will be go down forever. So we don't have the left point, right? Because it will run from negative infinity until it run up here, and then stop right here. We include point right here, and then we're looking at the x value. So we move just like projected it here, and we see that is like 0. So comma 0, and that included, so it has to be bracket. Now we have two pieces, so it has to be union. And now we start at 1 right here, at 1. X start at 1, and it's not include, so open parenthesis 1, comma, and then it's run from 1, run forever up, right? So that will be positive infinity forever, right? You can say infinity, that's good. Alright, so now for the range, it will be y. Y value up and down. So similarly, we could not figure out how deep, how down the y value should be, because it's go down forever. So that will be negative infinity, comma, and then it's go what? It's go up forever. So that will be positive infinity. You can see like for the horizontal line, right? So the x value will be taking that way until that, but then they have a gap right here. They have a gap from 0 and 1 is not include. That not include. It doesn't have any piece of graph go through that interval 0, 1 for x, right? But for y, every time you make a horizontal line, you will receive that you have y value. Anytime you have y value, right? So it means you have like from negative infinity to infinity. And now we can check for the vertical line test. So every time we make a line, it's cross 1, right? So is that the function? Yes. And actually this one will be the piecewise functions. The piecewise functions is like a lot of piece of graph. It can include like all type of graph we have, but like it will be a piece. So for this, on the left side, the right side right there, we have a line, and then we have kind of like the parabol quadratic piece of graph on the left side. So that's called a piecewise function. Okay, so let's do another one. So number 27. Now we have the more lap, and this one will be run to the left forever. So that will be negative infinity. And remember, domain is x, range is y, comma. And then what is the most right? Is at x equal 3, include that part, so bracket. Now for the y, you know that when you go down, you don't know where the endpoint, so that will be negative infinity. And then comma. Now this one you go up, up. You may go up forever, so positive infinity. That one is the parenthesis. Now we're checking for the vertical line test. It's cross 2, right? Twice. Okay, so this one should be no. It's not a function. Okay, next. So this one, we know that the most left one is right here, and that at -1 is include. So -1, comma, and then this one is 5, include. Now down, -8, include. Then up, +2, include. Yep. And bracket, right? So now we draw the vertical line. It's crossed twice, so no. It's not represent functions. Okay, number 29. We know that it will fail the vertical line test, right? And this one is look like if we go back here, but bigger and bigger forever, right? So what does that mean? The domain will be from negative infinity to infinity. And then how about the range? The same, right? And of course it's fail the vertical line test. So is no, it's not represent a function. Alright, so now for this one, we know that it will be continue like that, up and down, right? Forever to the left, so the domain will be negative infinity, comma, the same for the right. It go up and down like that forever, so that will be positive infinity for x, right? Now up and down, so down, the most value they touch down here is -2. That include the value -2, so it will be bracket -2, comma, and then the maximum will be 6, include. Now we draw the vertical line test. It's only cross one everywhere, right? So that yes. So this one, is that the functions? Yes, right? Because it's past the vertical line test. How about the domain? See for the x, left, most left, because this one run forever. You don't know what is the most left one. So that will be negative infinity. Similar to the right one, positive infinity. Now for the range. The lowest one is -4, right? Nothing below that point. Alright. Include, so -4, comma. Now it's go up forever. So that positive infinity. Number 32. Okay, so for the domain, this one will be run forever to the left, so that will be negative infinity. and then comma. The most right is right here and right here. That is value 2. So that 2 include because that the fill circle, right? So that bracket. Now range. For y, it run forever, right? For down, it run forever, down. So that negative infinity, then comma. Now they go up to negative 3 here, and then they stop. So that negative 3, that fill, so that include now union. Now we have another value up here, that negative, that 4. Include 4 and then run to positive infinity. They go from here up, they go from here down, right? And they go from negative infinity forever until this point for x, right? Now we can draw the vertical line test and that fell, right? So it's not a function. Thank you for participating in this video. Hope this video helpful. See you next week.